Hey, what's up, everyone? So it's well established that the SEND community, so I'm talking about SEND parents, SEND professionals like carers and educators, face chronic levels of stress on a day-to-day basis. That's very well established in literature, in support groups, widely accepted as being a true reflection of the reality. So the problem is that 99.9999% of the support structures available to them, traditional guidance, is based on methodologies which assume at their core that exposure to the stressors can be reduced or can be escaped. So, for example, in traditional occupational health and safety, the guidance to stress management assumes that you can reduce and escape the stressor thing that is stressing you out, and it encourages you to do so. It gives you tools, methodologies to do that. Now, obviously, that doesn't work in the Zen reality because the source of stress is the complex needs of the Zen children in our care. We don't get to escape. We don't get to minimize exposure to it. It's just not practical. It's counterproductive. It's irrelevant. They are focused. They are action. We are here trying to give them the very best of what we can, to give them the very best opportunity in life that we can. And that's where the traditional guidance falls flat on its face. Now, most guidance that recognizes this then suggests that, well, if we just meet the needs better, then things will improve. And by and large, that's true, but it's also a little bit ignorant of the reality. Take my son, for example. My son has suspected and offered an avoidance restrictive food intake disorder. So getting him to eat is an immense challenge. Now, the traditional guidance suggests that if we just get him to eat better, then his emotional regulation, his behavior, his communication, everything improves, which is true. Days where he eats well, absolute dream. Days where he eats poorly can be Jekyll and Hyde and can be an absolute nightmare. But it is immensely complex getting him to eat well. It's not simple, and it requires a whole bunch of patience, and it is an immensely stressful process. So, just getting him to eat better is an oversimplification of the issue, and it doesn't actually help deal with the stress. What would be better, and what I'm implementing, is to understand that actually, if I look after my biological capacity to cope with stress and to cope with it in a way where it then doesn't overwhelm me. So, what I mean by that is apply metabolic psychology principles, look after my foundational metabolic health inputs, so my sleep, my nutrition, my movement, my daily light exposure and getting out into the environment. Do things in my day-to-day life which enable me to improve my metabolic health, to regulate my metabolic health better. What that does in turn is it improves the metabolic health of the biological substrate upon which my consciousness has to run. And in turn, gives it a level of resilience and anti-fragility that allows me to face the stress of the day without it becoming overwhelming, without it becoming immediately negative, without it becoming something that overpowers me. And I can face the stress of the day, and I can get through the challenges that I need to get through with a level head, a sound mind, and an ability to problem solve and get through it. That makes an immense difference to how I handle stress versus if I'm not looking after my metabolic health and my brain is metabolically compromised. Therefore, my consciousness is compromised at its biological core. The stress will overwhelm me. I'll become burnt out. I won't be able to cope. I won't be able to think rationally. I won't be able to get through things. That is the big difference. So for me, metabolic psychology and the approaches spoken about therein are the cornerstone of navigating the Zen reality. Looking after my own metabolic health is a foundational aspect of ensuring that I am able to look after my son, that I'm able to look after my family, because it enables me to show up, to show up consistently in spite of the stress.